Hello and welcome to Diary TV, your trusted source for stories that matter. I'm Ogenekaro Asowe, and today we're diving into a heartwarming story that has been 31 years in the making. It's a tale of triumph, patience, and a promise finally fulfilled. In 1994, Nigerian Super Eagles soared to victory, winning the African Cup of Nations in Tunisia. Their victory united the nation, and the federal government made a bold pledge: houses for every member of that heroic squad. And for over 3 decades, that promise remained unfulfilled until now. This week, the federal government took a significant step towards righting that long-standing commitment. One of the stars of that iconic team, Efan Ekoku, received the allocated letter for a house in Abuja, marking a milestone in this decades-long journey. But what does this moment mean for the players, their families, and Nigeria as a whole? And where do we stand with the rest of the team? Stay with us as we unpack this incredible story, reflect on the legacy of the 1994 Super Eagles, and explore what is next for these national heroes. Let's take a trip down memory lane to 1994. Nigeria was buzzing with hope and pride. The Super Eagles, led by legends like Rashidi, Yekini, Okocha, and Stephen Keshi, were on a mission. They weren't just playing football, they were carrying the dreams of millions. In Tunisia, they clinched the African Cup of Nations, defeating Zambia in a 2-1 in the thrilling final. That victory wasn't just a trophy, it was a moment of unity for a nation navigating challenges. I remember hearing stories from my parents about how the streets erupted in celebration. In fact, people danced, strangers hugged, and for a moment, Nigeria was a big family, one big family. The team didn't stop there. They went on to make history at the 1994 FIFA World Cup in the United States, reaching the round of 16 and putting African football on the global map. Names like Efan, Peter Rufile, and Emmanuel Munike became household heroes. Back then, the government under General Sani Abacha had promised to reward their patriotism with houses, a gesture meant to honor their sacrifice and inspire future generations. But as the years turned into decades, that promise faded into a distant memory for many. But for the players, it was a bittersweet reminder of a nation's gratitude that was left unexpressed. This team gave us so much. They showed the world-class football Nigeria was capable of. So what happened to that promise? And why did it take 31 years to start making it real? Let's dig into the delays and the challenge that kept this story from being resolved for so long. Imagine giving your all for your country, achieving greatness, and then waiting over 30 years for a promise to be kept. That's the reality of what the 1994 Super Eagles faced. After their triumph, the players returned home to fanfare. But the houses they were promised never materialized. Year after year, administration after administration, their pledge was put aside, buried under bureaucratic red tape and shifting priorities. Some players, like the late Stephen Keshi, who coached Nigeria to another AFCON title in 2013, never lived to see this promise fulfilled. Others, like Efan, moved abroad, building careers and lived far from Nigeria. Yet the unkept promise lingered. In 2022, there was a glimmer of hope when the federal government handed Certificates of Occupancy to 14 members of the team, including a posthumous allocation for Keshi. But even then, not all players received their due, and then the process stalled again. But why the delay? Some point to Nigeria's complex bureaucracy, where projects often get lost in paperwork. Others highlight political changes. Each new government comes with its own agenda, and old promises often take a backseat. There were also logistical hurdles, identifying suitable properties, verifying beneficiaries, and even ensuring that fairness is done across states. For the players, it wasn't just about the houses, it was about respect and recognition for the service they had rendered. Me, I can only imagine how it felt, pouring your heart into representing Nigeria only to be forgotten. But this week, a new chapter begun, and it's one that is bringing smiles to many faces. Let's talk about the latest breakthrough with Efan Ekoku's allocation and what it means. The day we've all been expecting, June 25th, 2025, this significant milestone was reached. The Federal Ministry of Housing and Urban Development handed over an allocation letter for an house in Abuja to Efan, one of the stars of the 1994 Super Eagles. Efan, a former striker known for his pace and precision, couldn't attend the ceremony himself, but his niece, Lisa Jenifer Nwagbogun, represented him. That moment was so emotional, not just for Efan's family, but for Nigerians watching a long overdue promise come to life. Femi Temitope, the Director of Public Buildings and Housing Development, presented the letter on behalf of the minister. He called it a testament to the government's commitment to honoring the 1994 team's patriotic service. Lisa, speaking at the ceremony, expressed deep gratitude, saying, "I'm deeply grateful to the federal government and the Ministry of Housing for fulfilling this long-standing pledge to my uncle." Her words echoed the relief and joy of many who had followed this story. But this isn't just a house. It's about closure. It's about a nation saying, "We've not forgotten you." Efan's allocation is part of a broader effort to ensure all surviving members of the 1994 squad and the families of those who have passed receive their promised home. But how far along is this process? And what is the latest on the other players? Let's get into that next. Efan's allocation is a big win, but it's just one piece of the puzzle. The 1994 Super Eagles squad had 22 players, plus coaches and support staff. Some like Stephen Keshi and Rashidi Yekini, they are no longer with us. Others like Okocha and Emmanuel Amunike are still active in football, coaching and mentoring the next generation. But the question now is, how many have received their houses? And what is the plan for the rest? As of today, posts on X and reports from sources like Punch newspaper suggest that the government is actively working to fulfill its promise to all beneficiaries. In 2022, 14 players received their Certificate of Occupancy, and Efan's allocation brings the tally higher. However, exact numbers remain unclear, as some players may have received properties quietly while others are still waiting. The Ministry of Housing has pledged to continue this process with plans to hand over more allocations soon. There is also talks of ensuring fairness. Some players like Keshi were allocated properties in their home state, while Ekoku's own is in Abuja. The government is reportedly coordinating with state authorities to identify suitable locations for others. It's a complex task, but the momentum is encouraging. Nigerians will be watching closely, hoping that this is not another false start. The story is more than just houses. It's about trust, legacy, and the power of keeping your word. For the 1994 Super Eagles, it's validation of their sacrifices. For young Nigerians, it's a reminder that hard work and patriotism can be rewarded, even if it takes time. And for the government, it's a chance for them to rebuild faith in its promises. I think about the kids playing football on dusty pitches across Nigeria, those who are dreaming of becoming stars like Okocha and Yekini. What message does this send them? That their country value its heroes even decades later. It's a powerful lesson in perseverance and accountability. But it also raises questions. How can we ensure future promises are kept promptly? How do we honor our athletes and other national heroes consistently? Well, as we celebrate this milestone, let's not forget the bigger picture. The Super Eagles legacy lives on, inspiring new generations. Diary TV will keep following this story, bringing you more updates as more players receive their dues. And that brings us to the end of today's story, from the glory in 1994 to the joy of 2025. This journey of the Super Eagles promised houses is one of resilience and redemption. Efan's allocation is a beacon of hope, and we are rooting for every member of that iconic team to get their rewards soon. I'm Oganekari Asowe, and it's been a privilege sharing this story with you. Let's take a moment to celebrate these heroes who has made us proud and the government who is taking a step to keep its word. But let us also reflect. How can we make Nigeria a place where promises are kept on time, where our heroes are honored in their prime? Share your thoughts with us by commenting below. Join us next time for more stories that inspire, inform, and connect us. Until next time, keep dreaming big and keep believing in the power of promises kept. This is Diary TV, signing off.